The airport was a blur of cold fluorescent lights and hurried footsteps. But Lucas Kane's heart raced for a different reason. He'd been gone 3 weeks, chasing a deal in Chicago that could save his struggling tech startup. Now, standing in the driveway of his Seattle home, he clutched his suitcase, expecting to fall into his husband's arms suddenly to hear wedding vows drifting from the backyard. Lucas froze, his pulse hammering in his ears. The voice wasn't just Aaron's, his husband of 5 years, but another familiar, sharp, like a knife from the past. He stepped closer, the gravel crunching under his boots, and peered through the garden gate. There, under a canopy of fairy lights, stood Aaron, radiant in a tailored suit, exchanging rings with Ryan Lucas's ex-boyfriend from college, the man who'd shattered his heart a decade ago. The suitcase slipped from Lucas's hand, thudding onto the ground. Aaron's eyes flicked up, meeting his, and the world seemed to stop. The crowd of guests turned, gasps rippling through them. But Lucas couldn't move. His life, his love, his everything was unraveling in front of him. Lucas had met Aaron 6 years ago at a tech conference in San Francisco. Aaron, a graphic designer with a quiet charm, had spilled coffee on Lucas's laptop bag, sparking a conversation that turned into drinks, then dates, then a life together. They'd built a home in Seattle, a cozy craftsman with a garden they'd planted together, dreaming of a future with kids and road trips. Aaron was Lucas's anchor, the one who made the chaos of his startup life bearable. But Ryan was a ghost who'd never fully left. Ryan had been Lucas's first love at UCLA, a charismatic literature major who'd swept him into a whirlwind romance. They'd planned a life together until Ryan left without warning, chasing a writing fellowship in New York, leaving Lucas with a half-empty apartment and a broken heart. Lucas hadn't seen him in years, hadn't wanted to. So why was he here now? In Lucas's backyard, marrying Lucas's husband. Lucas pushed through the gate, his legs heavy, like wading through water. "Aaron," he said, his voice cracking. The crowd parted, and Aaron's face paled, the ring still gleaming on his finger. Ryan turned, his sharp cheekbones and piercing blue eyes unchanged, though now softened with something like guilt. "Lucas," Aaron whispered, stepping forward. But Ryan's hand on his arm stopped him. "Two can explain." "Explain." Lucas's voice rose, trembling with rage and hurt. "You're marrying him. In our home." He gestured at the garden, at the roses they'd planted, the bench where they'd kissed under the stars. "What the hell is this?" The guests shifted uncomfortably, some slipping away, others whispering. Ryan stepped forward, his voice low. "Lucas, it's not what you think. Let's talk." "No." Lucas snapped, his eyes locked on Aaron. "You don't get to talk. Not you." He turned to Aaron, his voice breaking. "Why?" Aaron's eyes filled with tears. "I didn't know you were coming back today. I thought you'd moved on." "Moved on?" Lucas's laugh was bitter. "I was working to save our company. For us." He took a step closer, his hands shaking. "How long?" "Aaron, how long have you been with him?" Aaron's silence was louder than any answer. Ryan spoke instead, his voice steady but heavy. "It's been 6 months. Since I moved back to Seattle." 6 months. Lucas's mind reeled. 6 months ago, he'd been in late-night meetings, reassuring Aaron over FaceTime that everything would be okay. Had Aaron been with Ryan then? In their bed, their home. The betrayal cut deeper than he could process. "I need to go," Lucas said, turning away, his vision blurring. Aaron called after him, but Lucas didn't stop. He grabbed his suitcase and stumbled to his car, the weight of the moment crushing him. As he drove away, The fairy lights faded in his rearview mirror. But the image of Aaron and Ryan, bound by vows, burned into his mind. Lucas checked into a hotel downtown, the kind with sterile white walls and a minibar he didn't touch. He sat on the edge of the bed, staring at his phone. Aaron's texts lighting up the screen. Please. Let me explain. I love you. Lucas didn't reply. He couldn't. Instead, he opened his laptop, trying to lose himself in work. But the numbers blurred into memories. He thought of the night he proposed to Aaron, on a rainy hike in the Cascades. Both of them soaked but laughing. Aaron's yes, the brightest moment of his life. He thought of Ryan, too. The way they danced in their dorm room to old jazz records, dreaming of a future that never came. How had it come to this? How had the two men he'd loved most betrayed him in the same breath? His phone buzzed again, not Aaron, but his sister. Mia? You okay? Aaron called me. Said you're not answering. Lucas typed back, I'm fine. Need space. He wasn't fine. But Mia didn't need to know that. Not yet. The next morning, Lucas drove to his office, a small loft in Pioneer Square. His team was there, prepping for the next investor pitch. But his mind was elsewhere. He kept seeing Aaron's face, the way his eyes had softened for Ryan. Had Aaron ever looked at him like that? Had their marriage been a lie? Around noon, a knock came at his office door. It was Ryan. Lucas's stomach twisted, but he let him in, too raw to fight. I'm not here to make excuses, Ryan said, sitting across from Lucas's desk. But you deserve the truth. Lucas leaned back, arms crossed. Then tell me. Why him? Why now? Ryan exhaled, running a hand through his hair. I came back to Seattle for a job. Ran into Aaron at a gallery opening. We talked. And it just happened. I didn't know he was married at first. By the time I did, I was in too deep. Lucas laughed, sharp and cold. In too deep. You left me without a word 10 years ago. Now you're stealing my husband. I'm not stealing anyone, Ryan said, his voice firm. Aaron made his choice. And I think he's been unhappy for a while. The words hit like a punch. Lucas stood, pacing, his hands clenched. Unhappy. He never said that to me. Did you ever ask? Ryan's question hung in the air, heavy with truth Lucas didn't want to face. He thought of the late nights, the missed dinners, the way Aaron's smile had dimmed over the past year. Had he been too busy to notice? I loved you once, Ryan said quietly. And I know you loved Aaron. But love doesn't always mean forever. Sometimes it means letting go. Lucas wanted to scream, to throw Ryan out. But something in his voice, regret, maybe kept him silent. Ryan stood, leaving a card on the desk. If you want to talk, I'm here. For what it's worth. I'm sorry. As the door closed, Lucas sank into his chair, the card staring back at him. He didn't know what hurt more, Ryan's words or the possibility that they were true. Lucas spent the next few days in a haze, moving between the hotel and his office, avoiding Aaron's calls. The startup's investor pitch loomed, but his focus was shattered. Every quiet moment brought flashes of the backyard. Aaron's vows. Ryan's hand on his arm. Sleep was a stranger, replaced by endless questions. When had Aaron stopped loving him? Had he ever truly known his husband? On the third day, Mia showed up at his office unannounced, her dark curls bouncing as she stormed in. You can't hide forever, Lucas, she said, dropping into a chair. Aaron's a wreck. He says you won't talk to him. Good, Lucas muttered, staring at his laptop. He doesn't deserve my time. Mia raised an eyebrow. Maybe not. But you deserve answers. And you're not going to get them sulking in here. She slid a coffee across his desk, her voice softening. Go see him. Figure out what happened. You owe it to yourself. Lucas wanted to argue, but Mia's stare was unrelenting. That evening, he drove to their house, his stomach churning. The garden gate was unlocked. The fairy lights gone, but the roses still bloomed, mocking him with their beauty. He knocked, and Aaron opened the door, his face pale, eyes red-rimmed. Lucas, Aaron breathed, stepping aside. Thank you for coming. The living room felt foreign now. The photos of their life together smiling at the Grand Canyon, laughing at their wedding staring down like accusations. Lucas stayed standing, arms crossed. Talk, he said. No lies. Aaron sat, hands twisting in his lap. I didn't mean for this to happen. Ryan, he came back into my life when I was feeling lost. You were always working. Lucas, the startup, the trips, I felt like I was losing you. Losing me? Lucas's voice cracked. I was working for us. For our future. I know, Aaron said, tears spilling over. But I was lonely. Ryan was there. And he reminded me of a time when I felt seen. It wasn't about love at first. It was about feeling something again. Lucas's chest tightened. So you planned a wedding? In our home? Aaron shook his head. It wasn't a real wedding. It was symbolic. A commitment ceremony. Ryan's leaving for London next month on the teaching gig. We wanted to, I don't know, mark the moment before he left. The words stung, but they didn't explain everything. Why didn't you tell me? Lucas asked. Why hide it? I was scared, Aaron admitted. Scared you'd leave me. Scared I'd hurt you. I thought I could keep it separate. But then you came home. And he trailed off, wiping his eyes. I love you, Lucas. I never stopped. But I don't know if you can forgive me. Lucas wanted to scream. To forgive. To do anything to stop the ache in his chest. Instead, he turned and left, the door clicking shut behind him. He drove aimlessly, ending up at a park overlooking Puget Sound, the water dark and restless under the night sky. He sat on a bench, replaying Aaron's words, Ryan's words, his own failures. Had he been so focused on his startup that he'd neglected the man he loved? The next morning, he called Ryan, meeting him at a quiet cafe in Capitol Hill. Ryan looked tired. His usual confidence dimmed. I didn't expect you to call, he said, stirring his coffee. I need to understand. Lucas said. You and Aaron, what is it? Why him? Ryan leaned back, his gaze distant. Aaron's special. You know that. He's kind, thoughtful, but he's also fragile. When I saw him at that gallery, he looked like he was carrying the world. I just wanted to make him smile again. Lucas's jaw tightened. And you thought marrying him was the way to do that? It wasn't about marriage, Ryan said. It was about giving him something to hold on to before I leave. I'm not staying. Lucas, I'm not trying to take him from you. Then why do it? Lucas pressed. Why hurt me like this? Ryan's eyes met his, raw and unguarded. Because I loved you once. And I know what it's like to lose someone like Aaron. I didn't want him to feel alone, even for a moment. The honesty disarmed Lucas, but it didn't erase the pain. He left the cafe with more questions than answers, his heart torn between anger and a desperate need to understand. Was Aaron's love for Ryan real? Could Lucas forgive him? And most importantly, did he still want to? Back at the hotel, Lucas lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The city's hum a faint backdrop to his thoughts. Aaron's confession replayed in his mind, each word a shard of glass. Loneliness. Feeling unseen. Lucas had always thought their love was enough to weather his long hours. The stress of the startup. The endless trips. But maybe love wasn't enough if you didn't show it. He opened his laptop. Scrolling through old photos, Aaron laughing at a farmer's market. The two of them building a snowman in Leavenworth. Their first Christmas in the craftsman house. Each image was a reminder of what they'd built and what he stood to lose. He wanted to fight for Aaron. But the image of him with Ryan, the vows, the ring, kept pulling him back to that moment of betrayal. The next day, Lucas met Mia for lunch at a diner near her apartment. She listened as he poured out the story, her fries untouched, her eyes narrowing with every detail. "Okay," she said finally, leaning forward. "Aaron screwed up. Big time. But you're not innocent either. Lucas, you've been married to that startup as much as to him." Lucas bristled. "I was building a future for us." "Was it for both of you?" Mia asked. "Or just for you? When was the last time you asked Aaron what he wanted? What he needed?" The question hit hard. Lucas thought of the past year as focus on the startup. The late nights. The canceled date nights. Aaron had always been supportive. But had Lucas ever stopped to check in? To really listen? "I don't know if I can trust him again," Lucas admitted, his voice low. "Every time I close my eyes, I see him with Ryan." Mia reached across the table, squeezing his hand. "Trust isn't about forgetting. It's about choosing to rebuild. If you love him, you've got to decide if it's worth it." That evening, Lucas drove back to the house. Aaron was in the kitchen, cooking something he always did when stressed. The smell of garlic and rosemary filled the air. And for a moment, Lucas was transported back to their early days, when they'd cooked together, laughing over spilled wine. "We need to talk," Lucas said, sitting at the counter. Aaron turned, his apron dusted with flour, his expression a mix of hope and fear. "I'm so sorry," Aaron started, but Lucas held up a hand. "I need to know everything," Lucas said. "No more secrets. How did this start? What does Ryan mean to you?" Aaron took a deep breath, setting down his spatula. "It started at the gallery. I was there alone, feeling invisible. You were in Chicago, and I hadn't seen you in weeks. Ryan was there, and we talked about art, about life. He listened. Lucas really listened." Lucas's chest tightened, but he nodded. "Go on." "It wasn't physical at first," Aaron said. "Just coffee, then lunches. He was leaving soon, and I thought it was harmless. But then, I started falling for him. Not because I didn't love you, but because I felt like I'd lost you already." The words hurt, but they were honest. Lucas leaned forward, his voice steady. "The ceremony. Why do it?" Aaron's eyes dropped. It was Ryan's idea. A way to say goodbye before he left. "I know it was stupid. Lucas, I know it was wrong. But I was scared of being alone again." Lucas stood, pacing the kitchen. "I was gone a lot. I get that. But you could have talked to me. You could have told me you were unhappy." "I tried," Aaron said softly. "But you were always so stressed. So focused. I didn't want to burden you." Lucas stopped, his throat tight. "You're not a burden. You're my husband." The word felt heavy. Fragile. Or at least, you were. Aaron's face crumpled. "Are we done? Lucas, is that what you want?" "I don't know," Lucas said, his voice breaking. "I need time. I need to figure out if I can do this again." He left Aaron in the kitchen, the weight of their words lingering like smoke. Outside, the Seattle rain had started, soft and relentless, mirroring the storm in his heart. He drove back to the hotel, his mind a tangle of love, anger, and the faint hope that they could find their way back. The investor pitch was a disaster. Lucas stood before the boardroom, his slides faltering, his voice flat. The numbers were solid, but his heart wasn't in it. The investors sensed it, their questions sharp, their smiles thin. By the end, they promised to follow up. But Lucas knew what that meant. He'd lost them. Back at his office, he sat alone, the city skyline gray through the window. His phone buzzed. Aaron again. "Can we meet? Just to talk?" Lucas stared at the message, his thumb hovering over the reply button. He wanted to see Aaron, to hold him. But the image of Ryan lingered, a shadow he couldn't shake. Instead, he called Mia. "I blew the pitch," he said, his voice hollow. "And I don't know what to do about Aaron." Mia sighed through the phone. "You're carrying too much." "Lucas." "The startup." "Aaron." "Ryan, it's breaking you. You need to let something go." "I can't let the company go," he said. "It's everything I've worked for." "Is it?" Mia asked. "Or is it just what you've told yourself matters?" "Aaron's still there." "Lucas." "He messed up. But he's fighting for you. Are you fighting for him?" The question lingered as Lucas hung up. He opened his laptop, pulling up an old email from Aaron, sent during one of his Chicago trips. "I miss you. Come home soon." Simple words. But they'd meant everything then. Did they still? That evening, Lucas met Aaron at a park near their house, the same one where they'd had their first date. Aaron sat on a bench, bundled in a scarf, his breath visible in the cold air. Lucas sat beside him, the silence heavy but not hostile. "I've been thinking about what you said," Lucas started. "About me being gone. About you feeling alone. I'm sorry, Aaron. I didn't see it." Aaron's eyes softened. "I should have been stronger. I should have told you how I felt instead of running to Ryan." "Why Ryan?" Lucas asked, the question burning. Of all people, why him? Aaron hesitated, his fingers tracing the edge of the bench. He was familiar. Safe. In a way. He reminded me of a time before everything got so complicated. But it wasn't love. Lucas. Not like with you. Lucas wanted to believe him. But trust was a fragile thing. "I don't know how to move past this," he said. "Every time I look at you, I see him." Aaron nodded, tears in his eyes. "I know. And I'll do whatever it takes to earn your trust back. Therapy. Time. Anything. Just tell me you're willing to try." Lucas looked out at the park, the bare trees stark against the sky. He thought of their wedding, Aaron's vows, the promises they'd made. Could they rebuild from this? Did he want to? "I'll try," Lucas said finally, his voice barely above a whisper. "But I need space. And I need you to be honest. No more secrets." Aaron reached for his hand, then stopped, respecting the distance. "No more secrets," he promised. They sat in silence, the weight of their words settling between them. For the first time in days, Lucas felt a flicker of hope, fragile but real. Maybe they could find their way back. Maybe love was worth the fight. The weeks that followed were a delicate dance. Lucas moved back into the house, but he slept in the guest room, the space between him and Aaron filled with unspoken words. They started couples therapy, a small office in Queen, and where a kind-eyed therapist named Dr. Ellis guided them through the wreckage of their marriage. It was hard, grueling. Even but Lucas felt the slow unraveling of their pain, each session a step toward understanding. Aaron was trying. He left notes on the fridge, small gestures like making Lucas's coffee just the way he liked it. But the trust wasn't there yet. And every time Aaron's phone buzzed, Lucas's mind flashed to Ryan. Was he really gone? Had Aaron let him go? One evening, Lucas found Aaron in the garden, tending to the roses. The sight stirred something in him, memories of their first summer, planting those same flowers. Aaron's hands covered in dirt, his laugh bright. Lucas joined him, kneeling in the soil. And for a moment, it felt like before. "Do you miss him?" Lucas asked, his voice quiet. Aaron paused, his pruning shears still. "Ryan. No. I miss who I was with him, someone who wasn't afraid of being alone. But I don't want that anymore. I want us." Lucas nodded, his throat tight. He wanted to believe it, but the wound was still raw. "I'm trying, Aaron. I really am." "I know," Aaron said, his voice soft. "And I'll wait as long as it takes." Therapy helped, but it was the small moments, cooking together, watching old movies, laughing over nothing, that started to mend the cracks. Lucas began to see Aaron again, not as the man who'd betrayed him, but as the man he'd fallen in love with. Still, the shadow of Ryan lingered, a question mark in every quiet moment. One night, Lucas found an old journal in the guest room, one Aaron had kept during their first year together. He hesitated, then opened it, reading Aaron's words about their early days, how Lucas's ambition inspired him, how his love felt like home. The last entry, dated 6 months ago, was different. "I don't know if he sees me anymore. I don't know if I'm enough." Lucas closed the journal, his heart heavy. He'd failed Aaron in ways he hadn't realized, too caught up in his own dreams to notice his husband slipping away. He went to their bedroom, where Aaron was reading, and sat beside him. "I read your journal," Lucas said, his voice steady. "I'm sorry I made you feel like you weren't enough." Aaron's eyes widened, but he didn't pull away. "You weren't the only one who messed up. I should have fought for us instead of running." Lucas took his hand, the first time he'd reached for Aaron since coming home. "Let's fight now. Together." Aaron squeezed his hand, tears in his eyes. "Together." Spring came to Seattle, the roses blooming brighter than ever. Lucas and Aaron were rebuilding, slowly but surely. The startup was struggling, but Lucas delegated more, prioritizing time with Aaron. They went on dates again, simple things like walks along the waterfront, sharing ice cream, rediscovering each other. Therapy continued, and Dr. Ellis pushed them to confront the hard truths. Lucas admitted his obsession with work had left Aaron in the shadows. Aaron confessed his fear of abandonment had driven him to Ryan. They cried. They argued. But they kept coming back to each other. One afternoon, Lucas got a call from Ryan. He was in London, his voice distant through the phone. "I'm not coming back," Ryan said. "I just wanted you to know that. And I'm sorry, Lucas, for everything." Lucas listened, his anger softened by time. "I hope you find what you're looking for," he said, and he meant it. Ryan's apology didn't erase the pain, but it closed a chapter, letting Lucas focus on the present. That evening, he and Aaron sat in the garden, the air warm with the promise of summer. "I got a new investor," Lucas said, his voice light. "The company might actually make it." Aaron smiled, his eyes bright. "I'm proud of you, but I'm prouder of us." Lucas pulled him close, their fingers entwined. "Me too." The road ahead wasn't easy. Trust was a slow build, and doubt still crept in. But Lucas knew now that love wasn't just a feeling, it was a choice. A commitment to show up, to listen, to fight. And he was ready to fight for Aaron. For them. For the life they'd promised each other. Months passed, and the Craftsman house felt like home again. Lucas and Aaron hung new photos, recent ones, from a trip to the Oregon coast. Their smiles genuine. The startup stabilized, and Lucas found a balance. leaving work at the office to be present for Aaron. They talked more, listened more, their love deepening through the scars. One evening, Aaron suggested they renew their vows. Not because we have to, he said, but because we choose to. Every day? Lucas agreed, and they planned a small ceremony in their garden. Just them, Mia, and a few close friends. Under the roses, with the sun setting, they spoke new vows, not of perfection, but of honesty, forgiveness, and resilience. I choose you, Lucas said, his voice steady. Through the mess, the pain, the joy, always. Aaron's eyes shone. I choose you, Lucas, for all my days. They kissed, the world fading away. And for the first time in months, Lucas felt whole. The pain of Ryan, of the betrayal, wasn't gone, but it was part of their story now, not the end of it. Years later, Lucas and Aaron sat in their garden, now filled with new flowers they'd planted together. The startup had sold, giving them the freedom to dream again, maybe a family, maybe a new adventure. They'd faced the worst and come out stronger. Their love not just a spark, but a steady flame. Lucas looked at Aaron, his husband, his home, and knew they'd made it. Not because they were perfect, but because they'd chosen each other. Again and again. The memory of that day, the suitcase, the vows, the pain had faded, replaced by a life built on trust, forgiveness, and the courage to love through the storms. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Lucas took Aaron's hand. Worth it, he whispered. Aaron smiled, squeezing back. Worth it.